the first question to all of you would be, what is the trend of the future, right? Because the topic is about the future of sustainable city. What are some of the trends that you see in the next 3 to 5 years? And also the challenges that you foresee that we all have to overcome, right, while building this sustainable city globally, right? You can give your opinion in the context of Singapore and the regions that you have experience in, okay? Let's start with Syed, followed by Winston, and then Sina.
Thank you, Renee. I think it's a very interesting question of the time. And sustainability trends, I mean, you could see from what's happening, the right onset of COVID, right? How COVID has changed the way we run our life, the new world of doing things, right? And similarly, how the climate change is going to impact us in a long run is something we really need to be concerned about it, right? On the contrary, it's sustainability or ESG. It's not something new. It's been there for a long time, but the importance and the impact has not been given extensively as opposed to the last decade, I would say. And we're starting from a COP15 in 2015, where 190 countries come over, sign the Sustainable Development Goal and Paris Agreement. I think that's actually pushed a lot of pressure to achieve our 2030 goals. And where ESG right now, if you look at it, I'm sure Sina can talk a lot about it, ESG being the significant buzzword being used. And ultimately, the regulatory frameworks are, tightening the noose for the corporations, companies, to take action, for decarbonization perspective. And I can talk about Singapore context, 2030 and 2050 plans, for example, like, Singapore has ratified COP15 agreement, and we are, marching towards the 2030 goals from, energy efficiency, water conservation, waste minimization, and renewable integration perspective. And EMA has launched 2050 goals for Singapore to be, carbon neutral. Right. So in equal, if you look at from a regional perspective, regional countries like Thailand, Indonesia, Cambodia, or Vietnam, and Vietnam in particular, right, significantly venturing into the renewable sector, to decarbonize the grid. So I think there's a lot of momentum is happening, but on the contrary, there are a lot of challenges. Today, almost 4.2 billion people live in a urbanized world. And we are going to add another 2.1 billion people, from a 58% to 60% of people going to live in urbanization. That rapid urbanization requires a lot of resources. But on the contrary, access to finance for city to transform into more sustainable is a challenge at this point in time. A study from UN Habitat shows that almost $3 trillion of financial gap and annually at this point in time exists for cities to transform into sustainable city. So how are we going to fill this gap from a financial angle, and bringing in the technology and bring in experts, to make sure the cities build with the necessary infrastructure and decarbonize and ultimately improve the quality of life. I think that is a challenge at this point in time. The cities are facing with equally corporations, access to finance. So that's something, we need to continue to talk, and then how we can, unlock the potential, to reach our intention of, sustainable development goals.